You've reached the Titus Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Willie Jello Johnson. You got us at the Titus Podcast. Never unbiased, always unbalanced. You want to hit us up? Go to The Real Christopher Titus on Facebook or at Titus Nation on the Twitter. Or you can hit us up on the internets at ChristopherTitus.com for the best damn comedy you ever heard. And now with the Armageddon Update, Christopher Titus.
I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. And today, welcome to the greatest show on earth, the circus, where the people defy gravity, clowns defy logic, and Taiwanese gymnasts fold themselves so they can stare into their own butt cracks. The circus, where animals are paraded about like slaves in the 1700s. Ah, the circus, where inside the big top is magic, and outside the big top, the carnies are buying crystal meth from the locals. In Providence, Rhode Island recently, the Ringling Brother and Barnum and Bailey Circus had an accident during the Human Chandelier Act. A simple D-ring snapped, and 9 performers dropped 40 feet to the ground. Nothing to grab, nothing to stop the fall, just gravity accelerating them into the earth, and the earth doesn't have airbags. This video is crazy. The act starts, and then these 9 girls who are hanging by their hair spin and flip, and then the whole rig just plummets. In July of 2013, Cirque du Soleil had a performer die in Vegas when they plummeted 29 feet off a stage into the orchestra pit. And to be fair, Cirque has had 1 death in 29 years of performing. I think we all have personally killed more people than that. When it comes to the circus, I am always amazed. It is an amazing display of actual athletics, performers with no special effects, and the girls are wearing less than a drunk college girl during spring break in Daytona. Thanks to PETA now, though, I can't enjoy the elephants or the lions or the tigers, but we can still keep beating the hell out of the humans because we have free will. I have to be honest, I was always intrigued by the animal acts, just sitting there knowing that at any moment that lion could be having lion trainer hot pockets. The clowns that followed the elephants around and cleaned up their bowling ball-sized turds always made me want to shout, "Hey, how did that I'm running away and joining the circus thing work out?" Every kid should go to the circus at least once. A real circus. Not those local circuses where after the circus leaves, there's always a few missing teenagers. So go to the circus. Get under the big top. Smell the popcorn and the clown feet, the grease paint, and the people that have chosen to live their dream of running away to join the circus. Or they have a murder charge and they are running away from. Either way, go to the circus. Because even when it goes wrong, it is spectacular. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Everybody, Christopher Titus, Titus Podcast. How are you doing this evening, morning, or afternoon, whenever you're listening? With me, as always, to the right, the lovely, beautiful Bombshell Rae.
What's up, people?
To the left, he's here on time again for the how many weeks now has he been on time?
He has been
It's been 4 weeks since I've been. I ain't been late for 4 weeks, man. So I got this job. I'm gonna do this job.
That's 4 weeks.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I got it. Notated.
Dude, why are you making fun of him already? We're like, you're just starting and you already started to make fun of him.
Yeah, what I do to you?
No, I love you. I only make fun of people that I love.
All right. And you're going to introduce our guests or not?
I was about to, but we have a friend of ours on the show today, a man who I work with on a thing we did, Special Unit, the pilot. He's going to be in the Special Unit, the movie, but he has a new book out about his experiences with his other job, and we will talk about that in a second. With me, to my very, very, very far left, David Figlioli. What's up, buddy?
Hello, how's it going?
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Good.
You might know David from the Priceline commercial where you crushed the bowling ball.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like 3 people who know me from
No,
that.
come on. We all know that guy. It was threatening.
Actually, a lot of people that listen to this podcast would know Figgy's from Special Unit. He played Alvin.
Yep, Alvin and Special Unit. Yeah, if you guys go to YouTube and watch Special Unit, the pilot we did is up. It's not the movie. I've rewritten the script for the movie we're going to film in October. But you can see Figs playing Alvin. But what is your book called?
My book is called Memoirs of a Circus Clown.
All right. Now, is it a freaky, like a porn memoir? Is it like...
No,
it sounds like it could go either way.
It certainly could. My career could have gone either way also, but I decided to keep it legit. No clown porn. No, it's really just, it's basically...
That's a T-shirt, no clown porn.
I lived the cliche. I had a midlife crisis before turning 40. It was right after doing the pilot with you, and I decided to run away and join the circus, and I did for 3 years. I traveled to and performed in 4 different countries to over 3 million audience members for just over 1,000 performances in the circus.
Well, thanks for making my career totally feel like crap.
So
My live performance, great. Yeah,
Wait.
we did 700 in
You
Madison
left?
last week.
You ran away and joined the circus
After he worked
working with
me,
Christopher
yeah, after working with
Titus.
me, after doing the pilot with me, he said, "You know what? Screw show business. Shoot television. I'm going to go. I'm getting the hell out of this town. I'm joining the circus."
Well, I talk about it in the book, and actually, that is one of the pushes for me to go. You know what? I'm kind of tired of Hollywood. When the pilot didn't get picked up, it was really disappointing.
What
for
was
me.
the moment? Yeah, tell me the moment when you were like, was it like this guy Titus is an asshole?
Tell us the moment that you broke.
Yeah.
No, the fact was I had such a great time, and I wanted that show to go, and I loved playing the character, which is why I'm so excited that the movie's going to be happening. And it was just a huge disappointment that it didn't happen. And I thought, you know what, I need to get out of Hollywood for a little while, because spending I talk about it in the book, but it was basically this realization that I'm turning 40 soon. I'm going to be 65 in 25 years. I'm going to do this for 25 fucking more years, which is one day guest stars and, being the guy crushing the bowling ball in the Priceline commercial. It wasn't enough for me. I needed something more. And so, I focused my dreams, and it turned out that running away and joining the circus was going to solve that for me.
But the thing is, you didn't just get the circus job that you had was not like you can't just do this. You can't just decide. You have to have some talent to even be accepted. By the way, you worked for Cirque du Soleil. That you have to even be accepted as a performer in Cirque du Soleil. You literally have to be and have alien DNA just to be brought in.
Yeah, man, those people crazy. I seen some upside down, backwards, fold yourself in half, put your foot up your butt, dance. Man,
Those are his favorite kind of women, the ones that can do that.
That's crazy, man. I tell you what, I rewind that Taiwanese girl flipping herself in half over and over and over. I know she's 9, but I just think of the future.
Dude, you creep me out every time.
I know.
He doesn't care.
Well, it's true. I mean, the majority of the people on tour are these 20-something superhuman athletes who, most of them grew up doing whatever their specific apparatus was, learning since childhood, or they were on the national or Olympic level gymnasts.
Who are also just as damaged because since they were literally out of the womb, their parents have had them in a uniform bouncing on a trampoline or flipping upside down. They don't have a whole lot of friends. The friends they do have, they're incredibly competitive with. Their parents, they've actually lived in a camp. People forget that these kids, get to this level, they're living in a camp with a coach from the time they're 4.
It's true.
And then for 10 years they do that. Then they go to Olympics at 14.
And then the circus picks them up, takes them right out of sport, and then they're living in this bubble of the circus, and Cirque du Soleil in particular also, where then they're touring around, and they really don't have a lot of life experience. It's kind of...
Was it weird to be around them? You're like, wow, you guys don't know anything.
I was fascinated by them. We were in a mutual admiration society just because, I saw them as these superhuman athletes, and there was no competition between us. And they saw me they were from all different countries. Were just fascinated that they had seen me in American TV shows that air in their own countries. So it was this kind of mutual admiration from the get-go.
And you've eaten a corn dog. What's that like? I've only had chicken and broccoli my whole life.
What? That's what the men sound like. That's what the guys sound like.
No. What, you think the men in the circus sound like
no,
that?
the gymnast.
He actually just head swiveled
the
at
young gymnast kids. The young
Okay, the
gymnast.
young ones.
I was saying that you were you're this guy with life experience. You've been on
Right.
sets and stuff.
Yes.
And you got all these people, little Mr. Sensitive. But I'm just saying.
No, I wasn't following.
And they're looking at you like you had you had beef.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You've actually lived life.
You can eat without throwing up afterwards.
You've
Yeah.
done something.
I hear you. No, I
What do you mean
didn't.
you don't get a calf massage every 4 hours?
No, but that certainly came into play. I became, the advisor in a lot of ways because these kids really just had no life experience, and sometimes I became the mediator between corporate and artists because it's easy to take advantage of people when they have no life experience.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Who is the oldest Cirque du Soleil performer you can think of, age-wise?
As far as the clowns go, sometimes different shows they can be into their 50s. But the oldest on the show I was on I worked with a guy who was 49, and I worked from between 40 and 43 with them. So 40s, but those are your clown roles. But one guy, that 49-year-old, he ended up leaving after his second tour with the show to have surgery for a swollen pancreas and I know where it came from. One of the scenes that I talk about in the book, the issues I had with it, where we were flying for about 5 minutes in midair with a harness where basically all your weight was on your abdomen with the strap from the harness, and he ended up having a tube in his stomach for months, draining a swollen pancreas.
Yeah, basically you were using the pancreas harness, which is, by the way, anytime the harness is named after an internal organ, don't put that harness on. So you don't want to be hanging from an internal organ. And his pancreas got ripped out because the pancreas harness was attached to his pancreas. That's exactly.
That's actually similar to what just happened in the hanging chandelier thing. There was some pancreas dangling there.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say. Like, they drop the curtain. You see all these 9 girls hanging by their hair. You know, like, you could do this with your hair. You could do, like, they were talking about how the hair turns into rope if you put too much in. So they're all spinning, and this thing, I mean, it drops. It drops like someone pulled a pin. It doesn't.
Awful.
It doesn't. There's no wobble. There's no. Oh, something's wrong. It just goes boom, and and it looked like, now is the floor soft? Do they put pads on the floor just in case?
That didn't look like there was any pads underneath that. They're not expected to hit the ground, so that there wouldn't be pads. Not for that height, too. That was probably about 2 stories.
Yeah, 40 feet. They drop 40 feet on the floor.
No, they don't. They don't have nets and stuff for that sort of thing, or padding. I'm sure, no more than your carpeted living room as far as padding goes.
Oh man, I was watching it, just going. I mean, you can see. I watch like Nitro Circus and in X Games and stuff. And guys hitting, they're wearing like turtle shell backs and stuff like that. And you can just see that they're going to get hurt, but they're not going to die. One of the girls looked up and said, one of the reporters said, she said, I can't. She just said, she wasn't crying. She was upset. She goes, I can't feel my legs. And it's like so. So did you have to do harnessing like that? Because I can't believe the trust you have to put into everybody.
Yeah, it's true. The crew is more choreographed and has to be more perfectionist than the athletes on stage, the same or more so. Because like with that particular Ringling Brothers incident that was tragic, somebody's at fault for that. That shit shouldn't happen. That's somebody's fault. Somebody did not do their job properly for those 9 girls to have fallen like that. You can say, the equipment gave, but it's the crew's responsibility to be checking that and double checking that equipment to make sure it is at top quality so that the lives are not, spared.
Yeah, the D-ring that broke should have probably picked up a car before they did that. So let's make sure this thing can lift a car, and then we'll put the girls
Absolutely,
on it. Because it fell. It wasn't like a part broke and then it kind of came apart. Whatever the main part was that held that thing up, let go.
Exactly.
And it was so fast. And you had to walk upside down. Like, you had this crazy harness, right? Now,
there was a couple of different. There's a lot of flying in the show, and the one thing that I did was I would tightrope walk hanging upside down.
What?
Yeah, which is
Yo, man, that's crazy. What do you mean? How you tightrope rope? What? Tightrope rope? Man, why I gotta speak English? How you tightrope walk upside down?
Exactly. It's as easy to do
See,
as it is easy to say.
I knew the Cirque du Soleil had a gravity machine to actually defy gravity, that spun gravity, so gravity no longer actually works on Earth. That's how they do that. See, that's why, you work 29 years, you have 75 shows, you make $300 billion, and you can afford a gravity machine. So did the gravity machine cause cancer or any testicular problems?
There was no gravity machine. It was all an illusion. There was a harness under my costume.
Oh, come on, man.
Dude, it's an illusion. How do you don't see the wires or anything?
No. Well, it's all about lighting as far as the wires go. So I'm hooked on with a harness underneath my costume with wires coming from either side. I'm brought up in the wings. I flip upside down. My feet are placed on a wire that has descended in the dark during that. The music cue, and then automation starts, and my harness lines are being brought forward slowly, and it's my responsibility upside down to start moving my feet as if I'm onto the rope to look like I'm tightrope walking upside down. And it happens for it's a 3-minute pass, and it was terrifying, especially since I have an extreme fear of heights.
Wow. So wow, that must have been a good paycheck when you're actually going against all your phobias.
All my phobias.
You're like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, they're like, I can't do this. Here's the zero. We'll put another 0. Oh, okay, I can do that. Like,
well, as a performer, you have to confront your fears, and it was like, it's just like any other fear. You just have to get over it. I talk a lot about it in the book, but I don't know if we mentioned the book's name is Memoirs of a Circus Clown. No,
Memoirs of a Circus Clown. But it's weird because it's not like Cirque du Soleil and some of the new circuses have taken things to a whole new level. When I was a little kid, I went and saw Ringling Brothers, and it was okay. It was cool.
Right.
Compared to then, when I was a little kid, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you put the circus that I saw as a child up against anything today, you would just you would start laughing. You would just be like, "What are they doing?"
Yeah.
But there is still that circus when you were a child, right? I mean, the kind of cheesy meth addicts that are like smoking cigars and stealing children.
Even that, that would be like your Ringling
It's actually
Brothers.
Joe Camel. It's actually the Camel from the Camel Cigarette Company. It's just
this is something totally different.
But they're evolving also as the modern day circus is evolving. The old circus is evolving also. They still have animal acts, but a lot of like those 9 girls that fell. That's part of what's happening now with the modern day circus. You wouldn't have seen that when we were kids. In the regular circus.
Ringling Brothers, they actually left that town and reopened 4 days later.
Right.
In Hartford.
Without that act, though. And they said their press people did a really good job.
But the guy opened the ringmaster, whatever you call him, told him that the girls were recovering, told the crowd, and he said they feel your prayers, they feel your thoughts, they feel your concerns, but they can't feel their legs. No, he didn't say that last part. But he said the first 3 lines.
Oh, that was cold, man. She is insane.
I know. Really? Wow. That was harsh.
Welcome to the circus.
Hi, welcome to the Titus Podcast. We have now offended everybody.
Oh, my God.
And there's children crying. Somewhere children just woke up screaming after that joke. Very funny.
I just thought, 4 days. I mean, I guess the show must go on.
Yeah, but it's when is the proper time? And that does seem short, but when is the proper time? I don't know.
What's the life like? Okay, so because I've gone to some Cirque shows and they're phenomenal. They're really. I saw O in Vegas. I saw one out on Santa Monica once. I've gone to Cavalier, which is not a Cirque event, but with the horses. And it's amazing to me that it's all become like a lot of it's stage play. Some of it's like it's not just a dirt ring doing something crazy. No. It's like it's theatrical and there's movies. So when you are in that, it's not just do your tricks and get the hell off. It's like you're an actor in a thing, and you got to nail your mark because video's got to play at a certain time. You have to be at a certain place. Yeah. There's another dude throwing an arrow at you, which you got to catch while you're singing, or there's a parrot hanging off your butt. It's how do you get? I don't need to understand the rehearsal process because just in an acting rehearsal, it's 2 days.
Well, the creation of their shows, I mean, they've cut it down. When they first started their company, I think they would take anywhere from 1.5 to 2 years to create a show because they start from nothing and then, create it. Now they've got it down to about 8 months. And as far as my experience, I didn't come through creation. I became a replacement of a show that was already touring.
They killed a clown, so basically one of the clowns died.
One of the clowns died, and no, that's not true. And so I was hired, and then I had to go through 7 weeks of training to learn the tracks of the 2 roles I was going to be playing by myself with coaches in rooms by myself, and then join them on tour, have a few small rehearsals, and then I'm in the show and be pushed around on stage if I'm in the wrong spot, and then you just kind of trial by fire in front of 3,000 audience members.
Really? They just throw your ass out there and start you working?
After 7 weeks of training, too, but it's isolated training, so it's not the real experience. You're just kind of trying to learn everything you need to do in a small room in a different country, and then you join everybody, meet everybody, and go, hey, and then you're on stage, and you try to make it all work, and, and it works, but it's stressful.
Was that the hardest thing you had to do on tour?
Was joining the tour?
Yeah. Well, you're a union organizer. I just want you to know that this guy he is so pro worker and pro like protecting people. It's crazy to me when you read the book. You're like, oh, you get a little of that whatever circus you're talking about in that book. You start to go because you've worked with a few different circuses,
a couple different. At this point, yeah.
So when you read it, you go, well, how? Like, 'cause show business is cheesy. The people that run show business are cheesy.
Yes.
Sometimes it seems like the people that run circus way cheesier. There's some cheesier stuff going on because there's no sag.
Well, absolutely. I have to define your word cheesy. I'm starting to understand your lingo, what cheesy means. So cheesy.
Shady.
Shady. Thank you.
Okay. Shady.
No, absolutely. The biggest thing I've found is the language barrier. When you've got the majority of your workers English is their second language, and a lot of them are learning English after they join the company. It's so easy to manipulate people by twisting words and saying and they're not, and no one's calling them on it. And I was on the outside, being a 40-year-old person, hearing what's going on. I'm like, you can't do that. And I'm standing up and saying stuff, and they're not used to having to deal with that, with someone calling them on their shit. And I called them on a few things that they weren't appreciative of.
Yo, you like a clown with a tune, man. That's what they. He's like OG clown, man. Yo, I'm teaching the boss right now. I'm gonna talk to the boss. You jacking with this little Taiwanese girl. That ain't gonna happen under my watch.
Yeah, I think Dave's a little insane.
So there is drama in this book.
Oh yeah. Well, I opened the book with one of the more dramatic experiences that I had during the swine flu epidemic.
What?
Do you remember in 2009 there was a swine flu scare?
Yes.
And Japan. We were in Japan at the time, and Japan that's a fucked up country. I have to be. To me, it is. They're a bunch of germaphobes, and
Yeah, it's an entire country full of OCD people.
Yes.
In our airport, I'm almost offended. We were in an airport and like 30 Japanese people came through with masks, and I'm like, hey. I started walking just crop dusting around them. How you doing? Yeah. What happened? I went down to those at the Coney Dog. I had a couple Coney Dogs. Hey, like that. Yeah. Welcome to America.
it's hysterical.
Which is why they're so freaked out by
Exactly.
us.
Well, they created it by being so scared of us that I just figured, okay.
I always feel like, what do they know that we don't know?
There you go.
Give an example. What do you mean? What do they know? You mean with the airborne pathogens?
Yeah.
I think that it really more stems from polite society. A lot of what their culture is about doing the right thing. And wearing the mask often isn't always about not wanting to get sick. It also is about not wanting to share your sickness, that is the socially acceptable thing to do, to not get other people sick. And there's so many rules to the polite society there. Everything is choreographed. Going to a 7-Eleven and getting your money back, there is a way for them to place their hands and to place the money into your hand each and every time. And
What?
Yeah, it's really crazy. There's no word.
I've had change thrown at me in a 7-Eleven. Get out!
They don't even have the word no in their language because it would be impolite to ever say no. So you can't say no in polite Japanese culture. So that's why you learn to do this, which is, I can't see this on radio.
He's crossing his arms.
Cross your arms is like, that's a way of physically showing that you're meaning no. But it doesn't exist in their language because it would not be polite to ever say no.
So what is when you say Japan that is one fucked up country, at least in my opinion, what does that mean exactly? It's not just the masks.
It's the experience that I had of working for a year and a half there in front of audiences that, in a culture where you always want to do the right thing and don't want to do the wrong thing. Imagine performing as a stand-up in front of an audience that only wants to laugh if they absolutely know for sure that they're supposed to laugh. Which means you have to push the comedy to such extremes to go, this is funny. And then they go, and I saw some of just the fake laughs that come out because the laughing doesn't come from a real place. It comes from a polite place. Like, oh, I'm supposed to laugh. Ha 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 ha.
No.
Literally.
I would kill myself on stage. I would
yes.
blow my brains out. I'd be like, okay, show's over. Bam.
Yeah, you would, definitely. So just the experience of performing for that, as long as I did, really made me despise the culture because as a performer, it sucked me dry. I was, putting out so much and you got nothing real back from your audience.
It sounds like performing. It sounds like performing for your family when you're 4 all the time. They're just trying to be nice and it's fake.
Yeah, but you're not 4 anymore. You're an adult and you can see it.
And you've had real audiences.
Yes.
What's the book is called? Memoirs of a Clown. You can get it.
Memoirs of a Circus Clown.
Memoirs.
I don't know why you keep saying that.
I'm
Memoirs.
saying
You said that earlier.
Memoirs of a Circus Clown.
Is it a French language?
Go to the Amazon. It's written by
Memoir.
David Figlioli. He's actually, you're going to get the insight of the inside workings
I have a better
of
idea.
a clown area.
I have a better idea. Get it on Amazon.com, but
Yep.
click through ChristopherTitus.com,
Yep.
Amazon link. to buy the book.
Yeah,
on
click
Amazon.
ChristopherTitus.com.
Perfect.
Click the Amazon link on the site. Go through, get Dave's book, download it. Would you know what it costs for to download?
The ebook, well, on Kindle, I think it's like $8.89, and then all other formats you can get through Smashwords.com, because there's all like iPads and all those other book readers. You can get through Smashwords.com. Just type in Memoirs of a Circus Clown.
So Japan, I actually totally get the vibe of Japan. It was sterile, and like everything you did
Very
was sterile.
yes.
I mean, and as being a performer, that would, especially being like, I go to a town for a week, and I've got Ray with me, so we're buddies, and we have something to hang out with. If you were with a troop of people in a basically a country with kind of no soul.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I felt.
The parties must have been insane with you guys. There must have been some blowouts where you're like, the clowns just broke up.
Oh yeah, it's got to be like Puff Daddy's house, man. Or P Diddy, whatever.
Well,
Dirty Money, whatever the hell his name is now.
The partying would have been more insane, except when we first got to Japan, we were there for 3 or 4 weeks, and one of the artists had his hotel room raided by the police and was thrown into solitary confinement for 2 months because the luggage we had sent ahead of time was examined by Border Patrol, and they found 6 unidentified pills in the bottom of an aspirin bottle that were later recognized as MDMA, which is ecstasy, and he was thrown into solitary confinement for 2 months and was what's the word? Kicked out of the country. Deported, yes. And so all of us were like
exported.
Yeah, there's
Japan's an import-export country.
no drug tolerance whatsoever in that country. So we all were like, we were scared shitless to party after that.
Wow, it's even worse. You actually made it worse. I thought there was going to be some release valve somewhere. Look at her. Look at the look on her face. She's shocked.
Who would ever mail their ecstasy? That's what you put in your underpants.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Or underpant if you're in Japan.
It was dumb.
It was the paint.
It was an artist who traveled all over the world for years, and he thought he was above it. And
well, man, that means you could never smoke a Breck smoke in there, man. They're going to check ecstasy in the bottom of an aspirin bottle. So, that's crazy. They had to go all the way down to the dude's asprin bottle to find some different pills.
So you don't know this because you just met Willie today, but he allegedly, what would you call it, trafficked breast milk.
I did not traffic breast milk. I was helping Muscle Man get bigger muscle.
He says Brex, but that's what he means by breast.
I said the same way you said breast milk.
Breast milk.
Breast milk.
Breast milk.
Breast milk.
It's not just for breakfast anymore.
Yeah,
It's not for breakfast.
Wow, that's crazy that you guys can't even work it out, dude. You have to learn breast milk.
Breast milk.
Dude. Okay, we're done. We're done talking. Okay, so Japan was a mess of country. You said you did 4 countries, though. Because you're going to give us a little international vibe on this.
Absolutely. There's travel, there's intrigue.
You did Russia, though, right?
Yeah, Russia was the final country that I was in. And Russia is the absolute opposite of what Japan is.
Right.
Positive and negative. It's chaos there. It's fucked up in the opposite way that Japan's fucked up. I don't know how they survive as a culture because there's just no organization there. It's unbelievable.
A friend of mine was a quote unquote Russian businessman, and he said it's the wild, wild west.
Yes.
He said it's just out of control.
Out of control. But the difference for me was the audiences were amazing. I mean, Russia comes from a place artistically where it's been government funded for forever, and a Russian clown is very different from what Americans have bastardized the art form to. It's a very subtle art form, and the audiences demand a very subtle approach to humor. They're listening very intently, and they're going on the journey and the ride with you as an artist. I grew as an artist because of being able to work in front of those audiences. They were great. I talk about it extensively in the book, and it was the final culmination of the experience for me, and it made it all worthwhile. Was being able to perform for Russian audiences, even though it's a fucked up country.
And the difference is they actually sold ecstasy at the shows in Russia, as opposed to Japan, where you did 2 months of solitary confinement.
Well, they like to mix it with their vodka, is what I heard.
Well, I heard they were crazy. But I heard I totally get because I know some Russian people. They are a little out there, and when they party, do they party?
Oh yeah.
So if they're at a show, they're probably into it 100%.
100%. I'm telling all these little stories, but there's one story as far as the impulsive culture there. I was on stage performing when suddenly the house lights came up, and one of the crew members came on stage and said, we need to leave the tent immediately." And in costume, everyone left, and we're standing out in the cold and I can't remember what city we're. I think it was Moscow or Kazan. And we're standing out there for about an hour not knowing what's going on. Long story short, some drunken Russian guy was pissed off that his girlfriend went to the show without him and called in a bomb threat.
So they're emotional people. I suppose the Japanese having no emotion. Exactly. I guess whatever the Japanese decided to get rid of, they gave it to the Russian people. That's a breakup. That's Facebook. That's a Facebook post right there.
Yeah.
You go to see Clown on your own, Clown will explode. Not just his shoes.
Yeah, I would love to hear a recording of what that
Not just his shoes.
Oddly enough, when my grandfather got dementia, what he always imagined was that his shoes were going to explode. And then at nighttime, when he'd put on pajama pants, he didn't like certain ones because when he walked, he saw them having flashing, spinning lights. So oddly enough, my grandfather became a clown after he got dementia. Mm-hmm. We would take him to dinner, and he would ask for the manager, and we'd have to sit and listen to him tell the manager that his shoes were going to explode and ask for a special section so that other people didn't get hurt by it.
Wow.
And they said him instantly. They're like, "Just shut up, quit talking, just go here, sit down."
It always helped us get a table during dinner rush. No. they were like, "Please
quit
sit,
talking.
eat quickly."
There's nothing gonna explode, people. You keep eating.
And you sat patiently and you knew this was part of the ritual that for him to.
Of course, or I would pick random people and tell him they were the manager.
Got you.
But sometimes it was the manager, and then he would be angry and he'd say, "Well, it's on you," and then he'd go sit down and eat.
If my shoes explode, it's on you. Yeah, it's my shoes, and there's gonna be moons in my ham. You're gonna be all over the place. You better sit us down. So Russia, didn't you really weird stories in Russia? Because I had this guy that used to live across the street from me. One day I was talking to him, and he was, quote, Russian businessman who got in he was building a mall over there, went over there, and he told me the story where they would just park their car, if you have money, wherever the fuck you want.
Wherever the fuck you want.
You don't even care. You're in the middle of the street, on the sidewalk, doesn't matter. Park your car. They pay ex-KGB, or the guards, bodyguards and stuff now.
They're the government now. I mean, it's just they've just organized the disorganized crime is taken over. Is my sense of it, but I don't know for sure.
So he says they come out of a club one night, and there's these poor kids that have decided to basically go after the limo, like 10 of them. They start rocking the limo, start breaking windows, and the two armed guards who have Kalashnikov rifles, or not, no, they were like Uzis, whatever it was. Get out, Kalashnikov, that'd be a big rifle. They were Uzis. Yeah. Get out of the car and start shooting kids.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then Greg goes, "I didn't want not to look like a pussy, right? So I get out of the car, I walk over, take a gun from my belt, bam, shut it, and get back in the car." He goes, and then he goes, "It's crazy over there," and I'm in Sherman Oaks going,
yeah,
that's really crazy.
There's an excessive amount of machismo in that culture, and it's
sound like the gang wars of like the 80s and 90s, man. It sound kind of a little bit. They Russian rappers and shit.
Yeah, of course.
This is going to be a drive-by. That's what it sounds like.
I think there's just a lot of emphasis in their culture put on pride and being warrior-like and masculinity, and it's just a big part of, and that correlates into guns and proving your manliness and all that sort of thing. And it's pervasive everywhere. I sensed it and felt it and saw it everywhere when I was there. So, guns, I didn't see any guns. But again, like the lifestyle of the circus performer is, waking up, going to the tent, doing 2 shows, going home, going to bed. And you're doing that 6 days a week.
Because you're beat. You've been hanging upside down for 3 minutes. Your head hurts. I get it. Totally get it. I can't imagine. I try to hang upside down. People out there, try to hang upside down for 3 minutes. I can't believe you. On top of that, you got a blood rush into your head, and you're walking on a rope you're not really walking on. They're walking you slowly across, and you're trying to maintain your balance and everything.
You get used to it, though. I have to say, when I first was training, I had the worst headaches. But your body adjusts. We're very malleable. Is that a good word? Mm-hmm. You adjust, and I did. It wasn't like I got a headache every day. After I got into the show, it just becomes part of your life.
So Japan and Russia, then you went to?
Well, no, I started in the United States. We started in...
Those people are nuts.
Talk about chaos.
Yeah, right?
Seriously,
what are they like in the United States?
You know exactly.
I live in L.A.
No, they're kind of in the middle ground of the two as far as Japan and Russia go. No, but when I say 4 countries, it was the United States, Canada, Japan, and Russia.
Okay.
So two continents, really, I guess.
And the Canadians are incredibly polite, though, aren't they?
Yeah, I didn't sense a huge difference between Canadian audiences and American audiences. I don't know. I think it depends on the region. I don't know. I'm not as clear on the distinctions with those audiences as I am on Russia and Japan because they were just so drastic. I mean, I've been performing in the United States since I was a kid.
At
so
what
it's different.
point, how long were you in either country till you were like, I got to get the fuck out of here? Because when I'm on the road too long, I'm like, okay, I'm about to lose it. I need to go do something. And how did you, and why are you not still there? I mean, was it just the best job ever? Circus looks, from the outside looking in, it looks like an incredible job.
It is, but you gave the answer before the question, which is, you said you're sometimes on tour and you're just like, I got to get the fuck out of here. That's why, it's like, I did it. I ran away. I joined the circus. I fulfilled my dream. I am exhausted. I'm done. I've done what I set out to accomplish, and I got to go home. I'm tired of this. And Japan was particularly exhausting for me. It was a year and a half of that, so half of the experience was
tumor
Japan.
growing on your soul.
Totally. I mean, I probably have a small form, small pieces of cancer growing in parts of my body because of that experience. I don't know.
Wow, I don't want to go to Japan at all now. I have no desire to go to Japan.
I will say this. I think Japan, to go visit for a week or maybe even 2 at most, it would be lovely because it's very clean, it's very organized, it's very polite, and it would be nice. But
you would love that.
Yeah. I love it. I did. I lived in Japan for almost 2 years.
Did you notice the same thing that he's talking about?
Oh, interesting. So, I mean, you have some. I mean, maybe
but I lived on Okinawa, which is a tropical island, and but yeah, I do. I love that no dirt, no disease policy. I'm a big fan of that. Hand washing. You don't wear your shoes in the house because they believe you just are spreading all that nastiness from outside in your home. So you put on slippers at the door. Yeah. I mean, and my mom is like, we're going to experience this, so we slept on futons and stuff like that. Like, we did it.
Yeah.
Wow. Eight sitting down.
Yep. We had a low table with pillows.
Really?
Yeah. My mom. We're doing, my mom's like all the way. Yeah, of course. Of course. And I took 2 culture classes where I learned Japanese and learned about the culture. Yeah. I got nothing out of it.
You must have been crazy. Like, the people all there, they're 4'1". You're 5'11", man. It's crazy. You're like almost 6 feet tall.
That's an American thing to say. Do you sense that? I mean, once you're there, I thought, there's smaller people, but it's not so obvious. And you don't feel like Godzilla.
I was going to say,
I'm
look
just
at
being
him.
a douche.
You're saying
I'm just
me.
being a comic douche. But
how tall are you?
People say that all the time. I'm 6'2".
There you
and
go.
people are, oh, you must have been huge there. And like, there's 6'2" Japanese people.
Yes, they used to ride me. I would pull up to a corner, and they would 6 or 7 would jump on me, and we would walk through the town. And then they would say, "Thank you," and they would give me money.
Psycho, how much?
Yes. Please wear your breathing mask.
Right, exactly.
So you did Japan?
So we just started in the United States, went through Canada, back down to Miami, and then after Miami, we went to Japan for a year and a half, and then I did Russia for 6 months. And
you were in Japan for a year and a half.
A year and a half, 5 cities. We did Tokyo twice, but 5 different cities while we were there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was too much, especially for someone like me. That was just, I could not take the OCD culture and the audiences. I wanted to punch them in the face, and it's not that they
the most polite people on the planet.
Yeah,
but I know what he's saying, man. I know what he's saying. There's some time you in front of some people and they you don't know if they like you, they don't like you, and I'm gonna figure something out. I'm gonna kick the emotion up. And how do you do that? Punch him in the face. That's what happens.
Sometimes
That's
we
how
go
you pick it up.
to some cities, and it's weird, and you'll get off stage and be like, wow, that was the worst set I have ever had. They suck. I suck. Yeah. And afterwards, you sell way more merch. 10 times more people want to take pictures with you and come up to you and say, that was great.
Yeah, dude, what was that Toledo you guys went to? I don't know. I met that girl. I met that girl, Cindy. But I mean, with Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo was bad.
The name that shall never be mentioned again.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But that's exactly the experience there, because although they were, to me, shitty audience members, they were They were
Dave just lays it right out.
I can't help it.
Look, they were just shitty.
They were shitty to me. I didn't like them. But they were fanatical about showing up after the show for autographs. There were people that had seen the show over 100 times. While they would travel to different cities to see the show. And they would. I had one fan. She wasn't as obsessed as some of the others. But she came to see the show like 25 times, and she would send gifts backstage every time she came. And they would send these Google translated fan letters to everybody, and that was one of the things we did to entertain ourselves, was to read them out loud.
Is there one in the book?
There is one in the book. Well, it's just a sentence or two of one of them that I got.
What is this?
It makes no sense. I mean, I could make it up and it would make as much sense. It's like, me clown white, not keyboard desk. I don't know what else. It makes no sense. You're just like, what the fuck are they talking about? They were obsessed.
We had a Japanese fan fly over. Where were we working? Was that
Florida.
This girl, the sweetest girl in the world, loved us. Listened to the podcast. What's her name? You remember her name?
She never left her name, but she left a bunch of gifts. Japanese cultural type gifts.
Right.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, and was the nicest person in the world.
Sure.
And she was flying back to Japan. She flew to Florida to see us perform, and then she flew back to Japan. So that was crazy. That made me go, huh.
Yeah, but imagine 3,000 of those, 10 shows a week, and they're your entire audience.
Oh, no.
So there's that, like, kind of, you're creeped out by the obsessive quality, but you're also disappointed by the emotional barrier as a live audience. It's all
What's
around,
the
not
weirdest
like
thing that happened on tour? What's the one thing that you just were like, because like every time I've done something, every time I've done a show, done something too long, I'll be doing a stand-up set. I'll write a new show, and I'll be doing it and I can always tell when it's time to record it, because I go through this thing in my head where one night I'll be on stage and it just goes, man, do I hate this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go, I have to record this because I'm about to hate everything I do. Was there a moment, now, not culturally, but is there a moment in the show where you just like dreaded every night?
Well, the thing is, when you're performing the same thing for 3 years, you go through that several times. It comes and goes. Like and you see other performers going through it at different times also, and everybody peaks and valleys at different times, and it's just, you have to work through it. I mean, there were times on stage where I amazed myself about how disconnected I was, especially in Japan, where I'm like, you know what, I could shit on the stage right now and they wouldn't react. So I just became really removed. And if I'm in a bad mood, my character's in a bad mood tonight, and there were times like that, and other times that were just, it wasn't a chronological progression. There were peaks and valleys throughout the process.
Cirque du Soleil presents its new show, Merde. Clowns crapping on the stage for 2.5 hours to orchestra music and neon lights.
That might be actually a pretty good show. I don't know.
Follow it up. Plop. Plop. you came to see Merde. Now you're going to watch Plop.
Well, and if you let the Japanese think that it was funny, if you really let them know, they would laugh at that pooping.
God, I wish that worked well on stage when I let people know it's funny. I usually mock them when they don't laugh. You guys are idiots. That was funny. That's when I move on.
They wouldn't get it. Like, huh?
Well, I got to tell you, man, it's incredible it's incredible that you did that, and because it is a dream of so many people, and that you just decided. The craziest thing to me, and I love, like, why we're doing special unit. I just decided we're doing this movie.
Yeah.
Movie companies, we're going to do it, and that you just went and did that. It had to be kind of scary, though, man.
Yes.
What have you learned about that? Tell me what you've learned about. Because
I was going to say, because I want to know the status of his midlife crisis.
Yeah. How'd it go?
The status. Oh, I made it through.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of comes, and then you either buy your red Corvette or you run away and join the circus.
We all know what he did.
Yep. Yes. It was black, though, but yes.
Okay.
You had a red one when I met you.
That's true. I had it. No, you're right. I did have a red Corvette. God. Only because I'm a Prince fan.
No. But
that's the nice thing about. That's why I wrote this book. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to it. And it's. And I did come out of it having the midlife crisis and the experience, having grown as a person, having grown as an artist, and I didn't expect that. I was basically just, in one sense, running away from, but trying to run toward what I think I needed at the time, which I talk about how I decided what I needed and how it translated into running away and joining the circus in the book. But
So here's what I say. People, get this book. Click to the ChristopherTitus.com to the Amazon link. Get it on Amazon. It's called the Memoirs of a Circus Clown by David Figlioli.
Yeah.
And and I think at the bottom of it for me, every story, like we all have stories, and there's all in the stories. Once you just keep going to the broad picture of it, you took a chance on something that not many people do. Yet everybody has this thing in them. It may not be. We could use it metaphorically. Join the circus. It could just be. You know what? Agent Pink Squashy wants to make furniture. Like her brother's a border patrol agent. And he's a border patrol agent, and he's an expert marksman, and he wants to make furniture. I mean, he says one day, and I think what I like about the book is that you didn't wait for one day. You said today.
Yeah.
And I think in life, the only time it pays off is when you say, not one day, today, I'm doing this. Yeah,
I'm going to make this happen. And it is, and it's not just a decision. And then it's confronting all those fears to actually do it. And then even putting out this book. I mean, you've been doing for years. You're putting your life out there on the stage for audiences to experience. There's something very vulnerable about expressing who you are and what your life experience is, and putting it out there as something tangible for other people to consume, and that you to have the strength to put it out there and say, this is enough for someone to want to experience and read, and I'm enough,
Yeah, but what do people in the audience need to know? What are they like? I've been to circus. I'm always like, ooh, that's crazy. That ain't real. Like I get like very suspicious of the circus. But what really goes on behind the scenes, man? Can you watch? Because when you watch those girls drop, you kind of realize that you could die. Like there's times. Like, you could have died if that thing would have broke or snapped, and when some douchebag got a little high that night before and didn't hook the wire up right, and you gonna fall, like, you upside down, you going straight down on your head.
Yeah, absolutely. I go in depth about what's going on in my head when I was doing that act, and you're absolutely right, and it didn't go away.
But
I've actually never in my entire life been to a circus.
Ever?
No, I have been to
dude, you gotta take it
top
to the
model.
circus. I will take
I have
it to
been to a top model casting call in Louisiana, which was
What does that have to do with the circus? Oh, it was kind of circus-esque.
it's a lot. But I've never been to a circus.
Some more sideshow-esque.
Have I been to a Cirque du Soleil? I don't even think I've been to Cirque du Soleil. I feel like that's something I would remember. Maybe
You would. I think you would. Because it's a unique experience, theatrical experience. And that's actually I had never been to a circus until I was in my 30s, and I went to a Cirque du Soleil performance, and I basically was watching the clowns and went, I can do that. And I had never been to the circus before, and then 8 years later I was doing that.
What's the downside? What's the total downside of it? The behind-the-scenes downside? It seems like it's weird because Cirque du Soleil is not an artist. It started out as an artist culture.
Yes.
Very corporate now.
Yes.
It's so much money, and didn't they get bought? Like, the guy who started it, is he still in charge of it? I thought they got bought by some big corporation.
Well, Guy Laliberté, yes, he bought out one of the partners. He's
Right.
still one of the primary owners. I was just reading something recently about they had sold, I think, 20% of the company to a Dubai investor at one point, and I just read that they bought back the majority of those shares because that whole transaction happened, I think, in 2008, and then the whole crash happened, and that kind of they for 25 years Cirque had a trajectory of never having a show fail, and they just kept growing, and then in 2008 after the crash everything changed. They had several shows that have failed, and they're having to rethink their whole business model. I think that they needed that because they were getting a little cocky in my opinion. And yes, it's they made a conscious decision at one point that it became, to me, less about the art and more about the business,
tickets,
and
yeah.
the machine, and you're part of that machine, and you see that. And for me, I'm a business person, but I'm an artist too, and
You are the guy who organize the villagers to take down the bank.
Exactly.
That's who you are. You are the
Yes.
dude that starts putting flyers on cars and going, listen, we're taking these sons of bitches down.
Yes.
Meet me at my house at 4. That's you.
Yeah, so it was challenging for me to see the corporate structure and how it worked. And to me, I was so in awe of the talent, and I thought all these artists deserve is the most respect in the world. And to me, they didn't always get that because the corporate structure doesn't work that way.
And you stood up to that. You actually...
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So let's be honest. So something got out of hand. Someone got busted for something, and they weren't even going after you. They were going after someone else, and you stepped in.
See, this is where
It's
it gets
in the book.
complicated.
It's in the book.
Yeah, but
it's one of these circuses. It's
one of these circuses.
One of the circuses you work for.
There's so you want the specifics. There's a few instances that we open on one of the corporate instances. It's a dramatic thing with the whole swine flu, and the corporate is definitely a big part of that.
What was it? Why would corporate interest in the swine flu?
Basically, we'll say so. There's no libel. In my opinion, they were attempting to violate the artists and the crew's basic human rights and freedom of travel by saying that they had the right to mandate whether or not people could leave the country during their break, which they have, in my opinion, no right to do under international law or under the contract. And they were, in my opinion, lies that were used to manipulate to get the way the corporate wanted things to go.
So basically, you guys wanted to leave the country. There's this flying, and by the way, you've been. This is Japan, right?
Yeah.
So you've been in this place where it is a nightmare.
Yes.
You need to go. You need to get dirty somewhere.
Have
You
to
need
get
to go
the
somewhere. I am going to
fuck out of
Singapore, and I am going to go into an open market, and I'm going to hump a raw chicken. That's how I am to the point now. Where after being in Japan, I'm so sterilized. I want to do something horrible.
Yes.
And they said, no, you have to stay in Japan.
Yes.
I totally understand. I'm this guy too. I'm like, nope, sorry. You guys tried it. You tried to keep me here. Try.
Yeah.
I don't, Massa, I don't work for you.
Exactly.
Actually, now I'm on my break. Look the clock.
You get it.
Yeah, once you on break, that's your break.
It's
when you on
exactly
break,
right.
you on break.
That's right.
Whether it's 15 minutes or 3 months, hey, this is my break. Why don't you shut the fuck up? How about that?
That's what I like about Willie. Willie always will get very black with us.
Yeah. And there was a couple of instances beyond that with other restrictions that, in my opinion, they had no right. And
So
You should have named this book, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know it's funny.
I'm
is
just
that
trying to be careful.
Just a blanket.
what's really funny about it is that it's not a surprise. Anybody who's worked anywhere, there's a point when any boss, if someone's paying your salary, there is a point that they go, wait a minute, I can tell you what to do. And
exactly.
between these hours, but after that, no, I need you in on Sunday. No, ain't gonna happen. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you want to keep working here? Not if you're gonna have me on Sunday, douchebag. I've had so many problems with when someone has said something like that to me. Well, you still want, I had a club owner once a year, and then I started this when I was 19 doing comedy.
Right.
Guy owed me $25. I was standing in a horrible bar with sawdust on the floor. Show's over. They're putting chairs on the table. Guy owes me $25. That's all he owes me. And I go, can I get paid? He goes, I'll pay you next Tuesday. Now, I'm like, no, it's only $25. He goes, yeah, I know what I have right now. I'll pay you next Tuesday. You'll get for the gig next Tuesday. I said, listen, I'm not walking out that door. I said, get it from the bartender, get it from the manager, because this is the producer. He's the producer for these one-nighters where I'm getting $25. You can tell top-notch people. I always work with top-notch people.
Gotta start somewhere.
And I told him, I said, I will stand right here and I will start knocking shit over. I said, unless I give him $25. He goes, you want to work for me again? Not if you're not going to pay me. I don't.
Exactly.
That's not. And so.
It's the willingness to lose.
I was kind of the white
too.
Django Unchained. Let's just say that. I was the pasty Django Unchained. Let's just leave it at that.
When you say white, Unchained is a given.
Yeah, that's true. Nice.
Did you know that it is actually more difficult to get into Ringling Brothers Clown School than Harvard Law School?
Wow. Interesting.
Actually, a lower percentage.
You have to be because people don't understand. People think clowns are just goofy. You have to be a gymnast. You have to be funny, which is a rare thing to actually be authentically funny. Really a rare thing.
Yeah.
You have to be able to. By the way, I don't like clowns. And some of the by the way,
I get it.
Some of the stuff of Cirque du Soleil is the creepiest clowns I've ever seen in my life. Some of the clowns at Cirque, I'm like, holy God, that's
Especially,
a homeless
by
guy.
the way, it's him on one of those angry nights that he talked about, where he decided the clown's just going to be angry too.
I'm not a big
and every child is maimed for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
And some of them, they just look like hobos. I mean, and not even clowny hobos. These look like French hobos that want to kill somebody.
Mine was a Chuck E. Cheese, and obviously he went by your school of thinking, where if Leonard was mad, then Chuck E. Cheese was going to be mad too. And he whacked me over the head with his tail, which those tails it's long and it's really heavy. And I was pulling on his tail, which, let's be honest, is not really attached to his butt. It wasn't hurting him. No. And he turned around. We were in Hawaii. He turned around and took the end of it, and just went whack across my head.
I love that.
I cried. I've never been back to Chuck E. Cheese since.
Well, why would you? You were attacked by a rat.
But how many kids have yanked on that guy's tail?
you just
He can't feel it. It's not
How did he know
attached
you
to
were?
him.
How did you know he was? How did he know you were?
It's
doing
attached to
Because
the
he
costume.
turned
He was
around
trying to
and
move
saw
in the
me.
costume. No, he's trying to move in the costume.
He hated children.
True, that's true. By the way, yeah, it seems to me like some of the people, and they call themselves performers at Disneyland and stuff. When you were in the furry seat, what do they call them? Not performers. They call it
Characters.
no, they say it's something. It's
It's the
something even
cast.
bigger.
The crew. The cast.
I'm a cast member.
Yeah, they call them
Cast
cast members.
I just at one point good for you.
I worked for Disney back in when you were doing clubs and for $25. One of my first big jobs was Disney World for a year, and everyone goes through an orientation, and it's 3 new actors were hired, and I was one of them, and then a bunch of the other people, and they all go through the same orientation, and they did an improv. Let's do an improv of what good service is, and then what bad service is. Ooh, and we have actors here this time.
Oh, what did they bring in some of them people from the Atlanta airport show you bad service? Because, man, every time we go to the damn Atlanta airport, all we get is that bored look of face.
What you want?
Can I get large coffee, please? Large coffee. How you doing today? Can I get a large coffee with sugar, please?
Oh, they can't see, but I'm giving you a really dirty look with my lips stuck out because they never respond when you say, "How are you doing?" "Hi," or "You're happy."
Or they say, "Is that all?"
$2.
Well, I knew I was in trouble at Disney when we did the bad improv, and it was and I decided to take the bottle that was on the table. We were supposed to be acting like waiters, and I took the bottle, took a chug out of it, and then shoved it up my ass in front of everybody, and because I thought that was funny, and I didn't.
That is really funny.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think we
Wait.
have a new team leader.
Wait.
I think we have a new team leader. That's what I think.
Wait. Pump your brakes, boy. What?
It was an improv of what good service and bad service was in front of all these new
Was that
Disney
good
employees.
service?
That was obviously the bad
Oh, come
service,
on,
and I
yeah.
thought, "What's bad
We've
service?"
all
And
done
I-
the shove the bottle up your ass
No.
improv.
No. Did they go with it?
No,
Did
the
they say
shock
and?
on their
Yes,
face
and
was.
yes, and there's a bottle up my ass.
Oh,
yes,
dude, the
and.
actors, one of them, he's
Like
still a friend
define
today. It was,
shove up your butt.
no, you're just you're pretending you're miming it. See, and
Oh.
I intended to shove it up my ass like I'm a bad waiter, and that they didn't, shoving bottles up your butt is not.
God,
It's
I hate
frowned upon.
It's frowned upon at Disney
I hate
corporate.
when my waiter shoves a bottle up his ass. Hate
That
it.
would be bad service, though. No,
Boy, this is the worst cheesecake factory I have ever set foot in.
I would actually, I would probably go back. You know what I mean?
No, we want table 7 again. Is Philip here?
We'll wait.
Yes, we'll wait right here.
Let me go ahead and order a bottled water.
but you're not Disney corporate, so there's a difference.
Did they keep you?
Oh yeah, no, but that was just an orientation thing. That wasn't the.
What, did you play character, or did you?
I did. I was hired to do. It was partial improv, partial script stuff. There was 2 different shows. Street performers in Epcot Center. I was a World Showcase player. We did 2 shows in the country of England. We'd pull out a cart and we did like Romeo and Edna. I think was one of the. And it's like audience participation stuff and characters, and it's like a little script. It's like a 20-minute show. King Arthur and the Holy Grail, I think, was the other one, and then we did a Canadian mounted police musical thing on the street in Canada.
You know what's cool about that is that if you were a street performer and you wanted to go to San Francisco, one of the big metropolises, and actually become a street performer, if you had that experience doing it at Disney, it would kind of get your feet wet without getting, because you get punched in New York or San Francisco. San Francisco, they'll tolerate you, but you get punched in New York. But you would be you can get your feet wet in Disney where people aren't going to punch you.
Oh, the people loved it. It was like they ate that shit up. It was very formulaic and it worked every time. You
All
know.
Do you sing?
I do. Yeah,
Okay, go
I've
ahead.
It does everything. It's crazy.
Go ahead.
No, I don't.
So the book is called Memoirs.
Memoirs.
Memoirs of a
Memoirs.
How do I say that?
BMW.
Memoirs.
The book is called Memoirs of a Circus Clown.
circus
He's worked for the corporate circuses. We made so much money off that.
We only killed one person in 29 years,
Our record is excellent.
and he deserved to die.
Oh my.
Well, BMW owns a piece of it. He owns a piece of it.
I own a piece of everything.
Did you know that it is bad luck at a circus to whistle backstage?
Yeah. Do you know why? It's theater too. Do you
Or
know
to
why?
eat peanuts.
I don't know the peanuts rule, but I can explain the
Why?
whistling.
Or to put a bottle up your butt.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I learned.
across the board.
I learned
Okay,
that the hard
whistle.
way. The whistling in the theater, because before headsets and able to communicate through walkie-talkies, crew members would whistle to tell when a fly needs to come in or to pull in a flat or a fly. So if you whistle, you could cue something coming in on someone's head. So that's why it's bad luck to whistle in the theater and, of course, obviously the circus.
And what's the other one? What was the
Peanuts.
Other
I don't know the
one?
Peanuts one.
Why? What's the reason?
The elephants?
Where are you reading?
I mean,
No, but a lot of circus performers carry an elephant hair in their pocket for good luck from the tail of an elephant.
I didn't know that one either.
Well,
That's an old one.
You're already in the circus. You've got some pretty good luck, is what I say.
You've heard of a green room before, right? If you want some trivia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
we have
What-
green rooms at every
Yeah, we call them
place
green
we
room.
work.
Do you know
Yeah.
why it's called a green room?
No.
Because before electricity, the footlights, which is also called the limelight, were powered with burning limestone, and the limestone would give off a green hue. And so the green room was the room before you go on stage to adjust your eyes to the color of the green before you went on stage. Does that make sense? That's why the room before you go on stage is called the green room.
They
Was
would
it
burn-
painted green?
No.
Yes. Yeah, it was
To help
actually
you-
green.
your
To-
eyes adjust.
That's why I guess I didn't say
They
that,
would
yeah.
burn limestone because when you walked out, it was so bright.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they lit the theater before
The
electricity. The
footlights.
footlights would be a burning of limestone, and it would give off a green hue to the lighting of that burning, and it was to adjust your eyes before going on stage.
Wow.
He knows everything.
Dude, how do you know all this weird trivia?
Well, I
Last night he cracked some stuff out
Yeah,
too that I was
yeah.
just blown away by.
yeah.
did I?
The origins of the word faggot.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, which we didn't know. And by the way, it's funny because you say it when you told me the origins of it. I was like, oh, they burned gay people and witches, and
Yeah.
and they called the sticks
Yeah.
faggots.
Were they
and that's-
burning? Was it just burning witches initially, or was it both?
Well, it's just like to call someone a faggot. Witches were burned and gays were burned, but to call someone a faggot is to say you deserve to die. You are no better than the stick to burn. That's where flaming faggot comes from. Also, it's like to be flaming. It's like you're part of. You should be dead.
It's the stick.
Yeah, faggot, it literally translates as bundle of sticks. And so it's, to call someone a faggot means you should be burned to death. And a flaming faggot
Because
is
they used faggots to burn.
witches. Yeah, when they would burn a witch at a stake, or, I assume they burned gays also.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of, you shouldn't say certain words, and I've heard a lot of, and you shouldn't say a word. Don't say bossy.
Right.
When he gives me the definition of what that means, I don't want to say it anymore. I'm like, oh, that's kind of.
Well, you learned what cracker meant last night.
It's
Yeah.
That was a
totally
new one for
weird
you.
too. It's like if on Little House on the Prairie,
They
if
had
Pa
covered this.
had
They-
asked them to go get him a faggot, it
Yeah.
just would have been weird. You know what I mean?
Explain it. Or call them a cracker, which I didn't know this. So cracker being what now? Here's again. So you've taken out all the fun from these words for me. I just want you to know you've actually sucked all the fun out of the word faggot and cracker for me. I just want you to know that cracker is whip cracker. Basically, the massa would whip the slaves,
Yeah.
and they called them a cracker because the whip goes crack, which means Indiana Jones is a cracker.
He's a cracker.
I just want to go to Indiana Jones.
Yo, with that leather hat wearing motherfucking cracker. Yeah. Why don't you get the cup of Christ, bro? Cracker, motherfucker.
That's the next Indiana Jones movie. Indiana Jones and Willie Jello Johnson.
Damn, man, dude, come on, put down that damn whip, man. My people don't like that.
Willie and the Cracker.
Willie and the Cracker.
I like it.
All right, guys. So the book is called Memoirs of a Circus Clown. It's written by David Figlioli, a good friend of ours, who's also going to be one of the stars of Special Unit that we film in October. Go to ChristopherTitus.com, click to the Amazon link, get the book, read it. It's a good read, and you're going to get some inside stuff because it's like we didn't even cover really what's in this book. There's some stuff, just so much inside stuff in this site where you go, where we don't know what's going on behind it, and the upside of it is that it's about doing what you want to do in your life.
That's it.
We all wait. Guys, we all think there's going to be a day that it's going to be okay to do what we want. And that day keeps moving. That day, you never catch up to that day. That day always stays out there.
Yeah.
Decide what you want to do now. Read the book first, then decide what you want to do and do it today.
It talks about Hollywood, too. I just want to throw that in there. There's several chapters about leading up to the midlife crisis. And it's an insight into what my life has been as a working class actor. I've been making my living doing this since 1995, but most people don't know who the hell I am. The guy who crushed the bowling ball. But it's an insight into what a working class level actor who's not a celebrity or a name like yourself, but there's more of me in Hollywood who are just working class level actors filling in all those other
Right.
roles.
It's not.
you know?
It's not all Jennifer Aniston and
No,
Brad Pitt.
it's not.
It's the keep.
A larger majority of people,
Are
like
they?
Dave.
Yeah, that's the thing when people get like if people see you on one thing and they think, oh, well, you're a millionaire.
Right, no.
no.
And I will say, if you want to see the brilliance that is David Figlioli, you should go and see. He gets uncomfortable instantly. It's so funny. You should go on YouTube and watch the original pilot of Special Unit, where he plays Alvin, who is autistic and does not like to be touched. It's brilliant. I knew Alvin before I knew David and loved him.
It's hilarious. All right, guys. This week I am going to be actually, we're both going to be at the Phoenix
Ontario Improv.
No, we're going to be in Phoenix.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
That was last week.
Ontario is what
Nice
we just
job.
did. I'm so confused.
We'll be Phoenix.
Stand Up Live.
Stand Up Live, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. I'm filming something in Vegas for History Channel right now, guys. Can't make Friday show, so we're gonna do Saturday and Sunday, and then the week after that we're gonna be.
I don't know.
You're
I just
supposed to
feel
know
like
this.
it's
nonstop.
our whole lives are whirlwinds, but actually I think we do get a week off, and we're going to be going into Virginia Beach.
And then Virginia Beach after that. Also, guys, if you want to hit me up on at Twitter, it's at Titus Nation on Twitter, and The Real Christopher Titus on Facebook. Dave, what's your Facebook?
Well, for the book, it's if you just type in Memoirs of a Circus Clown, you'll see links there. And also Twitter is Circus Memoirs.
Circus Memoirs. Okay.
And I am Ray Bradley and the Bombshell Ray.
All right.
on
Also, guys,
Facebook.
click through, keep the Combustion Lounge open. Click through ChristopherTitus.com through the Amazon link. It doesn't cost you anything more, but it helps us out. Do you got anything to say?
No, I'm good, man. I keep trying to understand how.
Where can people reach you?
3rd and Western? Usually on Wednesday, most of the time.
Right in front of the Western Union money order place.
Yo, man, you got to get paid.
I don't even know. It's what's weird about you, dude. We hang out with you. You come here. You go on the road with us once in a while, and then the rest of the time I don't see you. We don't talk.
And your point is what? Look, man, I'm already pushing the limit, hanging out with you white people.
Crackers.
Like, yeah, you crackers. Yeah, you crackers.
Cracked
Talk
over.
about you a cracker, dude.
I do not crack the whip.
You get on that phone, man. You up my ass. Let's say metaphorically, you crack that whip, cracker.
He is a metaphorical cracker. I will definitely concur with that.
I don't like any of you. I really don't. You're exempted, Figlo. You're good. All right, guys. This is the Titus Podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being on, man. We don't have
Thanks,
guests.
man.
I think he's our third guest ever.
Well, I feel honored and special. Thank
Well, I
you.
just thought it was such a cool book. It's such an insightful thing, and it's more than just a book about being in Cirque du Soleil and the other circus you were in. It's a book about do what you want to do with your life, and that's what we're about, man. And you're going to be a special unit. So we're going to, and the movie, we're filming the movie in October. Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I'm Christopher Titus. For myself, Rachel Bradley, Bombshell Rae, and our guest, David Figlioli. Later.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Ciao, ciao.
Jello. Yo, man. Hey, when you was a clown, right? So, is there a lot of freaky chicks that are like, hey, what are you doing after the show? I like clowns.
Not a one.
Yeah, you know why? Because clowns scary, that's why. Yeah, also, during sex, you don't want nobody honking.